are cooking in the kitchen. Welcome, my friends. I'm so glad that you're here with me. I love having you right here in the kitchen of Ebony Ivy and Thyme. I'm Leona Dooley, and take a seat and let's get started. While we're cooking today, we're going to answer two questions. What does it take to eat clean? And can that clean eating change your life? So, those are the questions we're going to answer before you leave the kitchen this week. Are you just eating because you see food? Are you think about food? Or are you eating because your body is giving you signals that it's hungry? And it also will give you signals when it's full. And so, therefore, we have to learn how to eat. Eat slowly. Chew each bite multiple times. Savor your meals, allowing your body to signal when it's satisfied. You want to be able to avoid distractions if possible. You can have conversations, but keep them positive and light. Tonight, we're making succotash with a little twist, and I think you'll enjoy it. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start out with actually two different pans because not only are we going to prepare succotash, we're also going to prepare some brown rice, but I'm going to do it in somewhat of a gravy and with some mushrooms and some onions. So I'm going to have that underneath the succotash. And that's going to be my meal for tonight, my plant-based meal. When you're eating clean, that involves being able to make a conscious, purposeful, and mindful choice about the types of food that you consume. And you want to make sure that the food that you consume promotes your overall health and well-being. Now, we're going to talk about several things that we can do that daily we can help our health and our family's health, and so that all of us end up in a much better health condition. When you're first starting out trying to eat better and provide better for your family, the first thing I would suggest that you do is to try to prioritize what's whole food, unprocessed food, such as your fruits, vegetables, your lean proteins if you're eating meat, whole grains, and of course nuts. And we limit the nuts in that they're full of oils. So they're your more costly or more calorie-ridden items that are going to be in your list of things to eat. Now, we want those foods that are nutrient dense and that provide essential vitamins and minerals. We do not want junk food going into our bodies. So the first thing we're going to do is to eliminate the processed food. You're going to need some either fresh or frozen lima beans. And of course, you could use canned if that's what you have. You're also going to want some fresh or frozen corn kernels. And as you can see, I've already put them into the pot. I'm using frozen, and I'm starting with a little bit of boiling water because, I'm trying to avoid the oil. But now, if you're not, then you'll want to add about a tablespoon of butter. Now, I could have put a tablespoon of plant butter, but I didn't want to do that. So, I'm going to add onion. I'm going to add a little bit of bell pepper. Of course, there's going to be lots of garlic, lots of salt and pepper, even onion powder, and we might even add a few more things, but I will post the recipe, so keep watching. We want to make sure that we have as unlimited a supply of energy and the best health that we can possibly have. So, in order to do that, we want to make sure that we're creating balanced meals that are going to include a variety of vitamins and nutrients. We want some carbs, we want protein, we do want a few fats, and of course, we want those vitamins and minerals. Now, it may be that with children, that may be a little more difficult because there's certain things they will and won't eat. So you might have to supplement with some type of overall vitamin. But we want to make sure that when you look at their plate is colorful, and that guarantees that your children, your husband, and you are receiving a variety of nutrients. My twist for tonight is that I'm adding to our succotash those sun-dried tomatoes, and I'm pouring everything from the jar in. So yes, there's going to be a little bit of olive oil in this particular succotash. And that was the other reason why I did not want to add any butter or plant-based butter into our mix, because I want the flavors of the sun-dried tomatoes to permeate this mixture. And I promise you, when you finish, this is going to be the creamiest, most delicious mixture of succotash that you have ever had. And you may not even want to ever go back to your traditional Southern take on succotash. This is delicious. Now let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the skillet. Now I'm using brown rice, and that choice of course is yours, whether you use brown rice or white rice. If you choose to use white rice, then you will probably end up with a mixture that is more like risotto, that is going to be more creamy, it's going to be a little more fluffy. But because I'm using brown rice, then our rice is not going to be quite as fluffy as we might have liked for it to have been. But I knew that I liked the texture of the brown rice, as well as the fact that I was thinking more nutritionally, that I wanted a true whole grain to be in this pot. So we're going to have more of a gravy effect over the brown rice. So the reason for the top is to make sure that our mixture and our brown rice has cooked. Now, what that means is that every now and then I may have to add a little extra liquid just to make sure that my rice is getting tender. I may also have to stir, because with any rice, and you have a mixture like this, it will stick. So every now and then I'm going to lift that top and start the stirring. If you look in this pot, you're going to see that the succotash has gotten quite creamy. The lima beans have started to release their starches, and as I stir, the liquid is in there, and it is just perfect. It's just the way I like it, well cooked. And I want my lima beans to be very tender. And of course, when you're cooking plant-based, and if you want your family to eat plant-based, your food must taste good. I made just enough of the rice mixture for the big guy and I. And as you can see, the rice has soaked up everything. It is nice and starchy, and we're going to use our pasta bowls tonight and place the rice in the middle of them. We're going to add the succotash on top, and I think I may even add a few tomatoes on the side, fresh tomatoes, to add just a little special touch to our plate. sometimes blessings drop from the sky. And today they certainly did. I happened to be in the right place at the right time when a friend had a couple of boxes full of fresh greens. And the ladies that I was with, we were able to take as many greens as we wanted from the box. So, what a blessing! But that also meant that there was some work that was going to be involved. So, as you can see, I'm at home. I'm getting those greens taken off their stem. These are collards, and I'm going to get them washed up and get them on the stove. Now, what I like to do is to fold those leaves back, tear them off their stem, because think about it, you're going to cut them anyway. So this gives you a chance to kind of get a head start and also moves you along in the process of preparing your collards. And once they're nice and washed, then we'll cut them. Now, I want to be able to cook these greens and have them for tonight's dinner. So because of that, I'm going to cut them very small, almost in a chiffonade. And I will be able to add the seasonings, add the onion, and prepare these greens for tonight's dinner. Collard greens can be on the table in less than an hour, but it's all in how they're cut. Let's talk a little more about clean eating. Keep in mind that you are being very careful about how you eat, making sure that you listen to the cues from your body. Also, be sure to drink plenty of water throughout the day, because water is essential for digestion, it's essential for placing nutrients throughout the body, and let's face it, this is our human machine. So we want our bodily functions to work perfectly. We want to try to eliminate the consumption of anything that's sugary. You may even want to get rid of the soft drinks, all those kind of things. But those are things that I have to leave to you, or at least cut back. If you can't get rid of it completely, cut back. Because once upon a time, humans did not drink soft drinks every day. Now, keep in mind also that cooking at home, preparing meals at home whenever possible, gives you the control over the ingredients and the cooking methods and allows you to choose some healthier options. Now, I have chosen to eliminate the oils in my cooking. And so that's the reason why you see me constantly using boiling water to get my dishes started, because I want to be able to limit the amount of oil that goes into our bodies. I'm also limiting the amount of added sugars and salts that I put in our diet. So those are the things that you can do when you are in control of the cooking at home. Now, it is possible, of course, for you to be able to go out and still stick with your diet. You just have to be able to be brave enough to make requests of the people who are serving you your food. And once you get very comfortable being able to do that, they will start in turn providing options for those of us who want something special. Those blessings that we receive, wow. I was so fortunate because these greens were very clean. So the farmer who provided these greens had already washed the greens along the way. But I'm not going to go along with that. I'm going to make sure that I wash them as well. So you want to rinse them in very cool water, rub them together, and make sure that you get any hidden grit that may be left on those greens. And typically I fill up the bowl, give them a good whoosh, and then let the water out and do it again. And if they're really dirty, you might have to do it a third time. clean, we're going to take them, roll them together. Just take a handful of them, rough roll them, and we're going to slice through them. We're going to make little teeny slices. And this is chiffonading. And we're going to chiffonade the greens and then go back and cut them one more time so that each of the pieces of greens will be, a little thin strip, as well as probably about 2 inches long. So we want them to be small. We want the pieces to be small so that we can cook our greens thoroughly, tenderly, and that they're going to have great flavor. Once you have cleaned your greens, taken them off the stem, and chiffonaded them, then all of these greens are going to get into that one pot. Now, you know greens have to be seasoned. So we're going to start with one whole onion that's been sliced. And then from there, we're going to add the Kirkland version of Mrs. Dash. I'm going to use about 2 capfuls of the Mrs. Dash. And I have to put the seasoning in at a minimum at this point because we start with less, and then if we need to kick up the spices, we can certainly do that. From there, I'm going to add some house seasoning because it has the garlic and the onion powder as well as some black pepper. So I'm putting in about 2 teaspoons of house seasoning because after all, we have quite a bit of greens that we need to cook, but we know they're going to cook down. So I'm going to add most of this box of vegetable stock because we need some liquid in order for these greens to cook as well. So that's the first part. And I'll check and see if I need to add more. If we need to add more liquid, then we will. Now, we're going to put a top on this, let it all come to a bubble, and cook it down. Notice how the greens have cooked down. And I'm going to give all of that a stir, and then we're going to add just a little taste of sweetness with some date powder. Greens also need a bit of acidity, and I have some red wine vinegar, so I'm going to give the greens a little splash. And what will happen is that not only will it add that little hint of vinegar flavor, but the vinegar will also work in tenderizing our greens. I'm going to add a touch of boiling water to the greens just to give them a little extra liquid, and then we're going to let them simmer while I cook another dish. Sometimes the body just calls for certain things that you're used to eating, and tonight we wanted hamburgers, but I didn't want to serve a hamburger and use regular beef. So I'm going to be using what's called impossible burgers. And I want them to be nice and moist. And so I'm going to use a particular cooking technique to guarantee that our burgers come out nice and brown, but also nice and moist when you bite into them. If you want your family to enjoy what you prepare, remember, seasoning is necessary. So we're starting off with some house seasoning and some onions, and we're going to let that get started and bubble down in the skillet. And we're making I guess you would call it the au jus that the burgers are going to cook in. Nutritional yeast adds a bit of cheesy flavor. So I'm adding in a little bit of that because remember, we want our plant burger to taste every bit as good as something that we would fix with a regular beef burger. Of course, Mrs. Dash is going to be necessary, and this is a no salt version, as well as we want some Leon Parents Worcestershire sauce in here because those are the things that I put in a regular burger. If you have not tried the Impossible Burger, then certainly the next time you're in your freezer section at your grocery store, you'll want to pick at least one bag up because the texture of this burger really gives you the feel of a regular hamburger. And I love it. I love it. So, we're going to get these out. I'm going to give you a chance to look at the bag so that you can see some of the things that it offers, as well as we're going to get these burgers cooked. Oh my goodness, my family is going to be happy tonight to have hamburgers. How about that? Hamburgers, but they're plant based. And they're tender. They're going to be dressed like a regular burger with the tomatoes, the onions, the lettuce, and even a little mustard on them. Mm, 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 mm. Burgers on the table. Now, did you think I forgot about those greens? Not on your life. The greens are ready, but I decided not to eat them tonight. I'll have them for another night, so we're going to get them into a nice Snapware container and we're going to get them cooled off and ready for the refrigerator or even the freezer. We have learned about clean eating. We've got meals for the week. And you know what? We're going to continue our journey, plant-based eating, and I'm so happy to have you right here with me here in the kitchen. So don't think that there won't be another week to follow. Keep your eye out. If you aren't a subscriber, please make sure that you subscribe before you leave, and certainly like this video if these are the kind of videos that you enjoy.